Here is my Playlist DB GUI testing video. So as you can see here on the left, it's a bunch of input text boxes, and here is some validation buttons. So start by entering one of player ID, check player ID. If it's console, as you can see, it says valid input for player ID. Lovely. Then, for example, if we try instead player one as a string, check player ID, console, invalid input player ID, it's not integer. Perfect. Next, move on to first name. If we try, let's say Harvey, check first name, console, valid input first name as a string. Lovely. And then next, if we try, let's say, a integer instead, so 224, check first name, console. As you see, it says invalid input for first name as not a string. Next, we want to team last name. Let's say, let's try Smith, check last name, console, valid input for last name as a string. Perfect. Now instead, let's try an integer. Let's say 333. Check last name, console. As you see, it's invalid input for last name as a integer. Lovely. Next, move on to team name. Let's first input Cranley. Check team name. And here it says valid input for team name as a string. Perfect. Next, instead of Cranley, let's enter another integer. Let's say 44. Check team name, console, invalid input for team name as an integer. Lovely. Next, let's try position. First, let's try 12. Check position, console, valid input for position as an integer. Lovely. Now instead, let's try 17. Check position, console, and here it says valid input for position as an integer. However, it needs to be between the range 1 and 15. And what this refers to is that at one time playing on a rugby pitch, there'll be 15 players on one team. And what it's saying is that 17 is out of the range. So here next we have move on to players rating. So let's try firstly 8. Check players rating, console, valid input for players rating as an integer here. Now instead let's try, let's say 12. Check players rating, console, valid input players rating. However, it needs to be between 1 and 10. So what's referred to, this is the coach's rating, which is given to the player. And what it's saying is that coach's rating can only be from 1 to 10, and 12 is out of that range. So now instead of 12, let's try the string 8. Check players rating, console, invalid input players rating as not integer. Perfect. Now let's move on to try scored. Let's start with 5. Check try scored, console, valid input for try scored as an integer. Lovely. Next let's try, instead of 5, let's just try entering 5 as a string. Check try scored, console, invalid input for try scored as not integer. Lovely. Next, move on to conversions made. Let's try 2. Check conversions, console, valid input for conversions as it is a integer. Next, try the string 2. Check conversions, console, invalid input for conversions as not integer. Lovely. Next, move on to games played. Let's enter first integer 4. Check games played, console, valid input for games played as a integer. Lovely. Next, try instead of 4. Check games played, console, invalid input for games played as not a integer. Lovely. Now games available. Let's try say 6. Games available, console, valid input for games available as a integer. Now instead let's try the string 6. Check games available, invalid input for games available as not integer. Perfect. Now let's move on to instead injured. Let's try no. Check injured, and it says valid input for injured as a string. Lovely. And now instead let's try entering a string. Let's say we just put 22. Check injured, and I see here it says invalid input for injured as a string. Now next let's move on to the final one, which is contact information. So I'm going to enter an email here. Let's say Harvey Smith at gmail.com. Check contact information, output, console, valid input for contact information as a string. And then finally, let's test it with instead a number. Let's say instead we use say 22 here and this should be erroneous. Check content information, console, invalid input of content information as it is integer. Perfect.